On CNN Philippines, the Supreme Court, sitting as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, orders the release of the committee report prepared by Justice Alfredo Benjamin Caguioa on the Marcos Robredo election protest. Let's get more details from our Justice correspondent, Anjo Alimario. Anjo, so what does this mean?
Well, PK, it means no voting yet on the election protest of former Senator Bongbong Marcos against Vice President Leni Robredo. And our source tells us that the Supreme Court, sitting as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, orders the release of the committee report on the results of the 3 pilot provinces prepared, of course, by the member in charge, Justice Alfredo Benjamin Caguioa, to Marcos and Robredo. And once they are released, they are given, Marcos and Robredo, they are given 20 days to comment. Now, this is actually thinking, Robredo asked for this, for the release of this committee report. So Robredo asked the Presidential Electoral Tribunal to furnish parties copies of the summary and committee reports on the revision, recount, and reappreciation, of course, again, of the ballots from the 3 pilot provinces. You have Camarines Sur, Negros Oriental, and Iloilo. And in her motion, she argued that the parties need to be apprised on the truth of the real result of the revision, recount, and reappreciation of these pilot provinces. And she added this will put to rest any apprehensions the parties entertain as a result of the speculations being reported in various media outlets. And she pointed out the importance of the result of the revision, recount, and reappreciation of the ballots from these pilot provinces has repeatedly been emphasized by the Honorable Tribunal. Again, Pinky, we're expecting voting today, but that didn't happen. Pinky.
Anjo, we were talking a while ago, there was speculation that there would be a vote October 1, and then October 8, and then, October 15, and then today is October 15, and yet still no vote. We did have the Supreme Court Chief Justice here on CNN Philippines, also Associate Justice Marvic Leonen, and they were saying that it's a bit, it's definitely, this is going to be a landmark ruling. It's something that they need to study and that they will not be pressured by anybody because of even timing of the ruling. I guess I'm saying that, Anjo, kasi nga, hintay tayo ng hintay, pero hanggang ngayon, wala pa ring botohan na nangyari.
That's right, Pinky. Even today, the ANBAC session today was unusually long because usually around 12 noon, there's already information or there's already a report that, a voting has been reached or a decision has been reached. But now we've been receiving information that the justices really took their time to discuss this particular case. Of course, we know that this will be the last ANBAC session of Chief Justice Lucas Bersamin and Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. And this is also the last ANBAC session, Pinky, before they go on a writing break starting next week, and they will be back in November. So again, you have vacancies in the Supreme Court, and of course, this will take a longer time before they resolve this election protest.
When we're talking about this, the ponente, Justice Caguioa, his report on this electoral protest, as Anjo was telling us, let me just repeat that this is just still the 3 pilot provinces, which are Iloilo, Camarines Sur, and Negros Oriental. As Anjo was saying, this is for the revision, recount, and reappreciation. Anjo, this means that finally, kung ano yung lumabas na revision, recount, and appreciation, ibibigay na ng PET, the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, to both lawyers, to lawyers of both camps rather, then this will become official. Because before, Anjo, it's just speculation, for example, on the part of the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo, that their count was lumamang pa daw si Vice President Leni Robredo ng 15,000 votes in the 3 pilot provinces.
Exactly, Pinky. That's what they want from the very beginning before, these talks about moving to that so-called third course of action, to the allotment of votes in 3 provinces in Mindanao. They really want to know what happened during the revision of these 3 pilot provinces, because under Rule 65, if you fail to show you have substantial recovery from these pilot provinces, then the PET has no choice but to dismiss your case. And this is what the lawyers of Robredo want the tribunal to follow. Now, of course, there's a different interpretation on the part of Marcos saying that, of course, it's too early to tell or to tell the justices what they should do.
That's exactly what Attorney Vic Rodriguez said a while ago to us, Anjo, when we had him on the phone. Sabi niya, bakit ba pinag-uusapan na yung Rule 65? Eh wala pa naman daw desisyon ang Presidential Electoral Tribunal para daw pinangungunahan pa. Meron ng Rule 65 ngayon, eh wala pa naman daw desisyon ang members of the PET or the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. So, right now, can we expect, Anjo, that pagka binigay na to sa magkabilang kampo, mailalabas na ba? Will we finally find out kung ano talaga ang lumabas dun sa revision, recount, and reappreciation of the 3 pilot provinces?
That's right, Vicky. We'll be able to find out what really happened during the revision of votes. Of course, you know, it took months before the revisions in the 3 provinces completed. So we'll find out how many votes were recovered on the part of Marcos and Robredo, how many votes were, of course, were deducted from them. So we really find out if Robredo is really saying the truth, that she actually gained 15,000 votes from that revision of votes in the 3 pilot provinces.
Yeah, because I guess, Anjo, what it means is this is gonna be finally official. Lumamang ba si Vice President Leni Robredo dito sa 3 provinces o hindi? O baka si former Senator Bongbong Marcos ang lumamang dito sa 3 pilot provinces?
That's right. That's right, Vicky. We'll find out who is really telling the truth about who really gained votes. And of course, if Marcos will really show that he gained that substantial recovery as required by Rule 65, of course, the lawyers of Robredo will point that out once they get hold of that committee report that Marcos failed to show substantial recovery for his pilot province, because in fact he chose that. It's his decision to choose the 3 pilot provinces that would best exemplify the fraud and irregularities in his protest.
That's right. So, Anjo, are we expecting a press conference by the SC spokesperson, Attorney Hosaka?
That's right, Pinky. I'm seeing him right now. I think he's just talking to, one of the justices right now. But he's about to enter the press briefing room, so we'll find out about the official or other actions taken by the Supreme Court on this particular case.
We are standing by, Anjo, and we'll get back to you a little later on. Anjo Alimario, maraming salamat sa iyo. We now have on the line Vice President Robredo's lawyer, Attorney Emil Marañon. Attorney Marañon, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon po. A very good afternoon po.
Oh, so this is a very good afternoon for the camp of the Vice President, huh?
Yes. Opo.
Tell us why.
Precisely po, the Supreme Court basically granted what we asked them na i-release sana yung Kakiwa report.
That's right. Yun nga pong sinabi ng aming correspondent si Anjo, this was a plea from the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo. So, what are you expecting from this, sir? Because when we talked a while ago, ang sabi nyo, dito sa 3 pilot provinces, lumamang pa si Vice President Leni Robredo ng 15,000. But I had to clear that up, sir, that is your count, and that is not the count, the possible official count from Justice Kagiwa sa kanilang revision, recount, and appreciation of votes, sir.
Oh, but yun na nga precisely na hinihingi namin yung report, because we are very confident na kung ano yung assessment namin ng recount, it will exactly be the same doon sa Kagiwa report. And now, actually, ang implication nito for us is, ibig sabihin nito, kino-consider ng korte ngayon na importante yung resulta doon ng recount as regards the continuation of the case. So, for us, this is an indirect recognition na it matters na merong substantial recovery si Mr. Marcos for his protest to go on before the Fed.
Hindi ho ba, wouldn't you say that medyo napangungunahan niyo po ito dahil you're not 100% sure kung ano yung nakapaloob doon sa Kagiwa report, sir?
Both parties are being represented during the recount. No? So Mr. Marcos as a representative, we have a representative as well, Fed as a representative as well. So all 3 of us know exactly ano yung claims, ano yung objections, and these are experienced revisors who know precisely kung ano yung valid claim, ano yung strong claim, or ano yung gawa-gawa lang. So we're very confident that the Kagiwa report will precisely show yung sinasabi namin na it is actually Vice President Leni Robredo actually gained 15,000 votes. And in fact, Mr. Marcos made no recovery at all.
All right. So what could possibly be, sir, pag sinabi ho kasi na you have they ordered the Kagiwa report to be furnished, copies to both camps, and you have 20 days to respond to this. Ano ho ba ang magiging response niyo dito? Are you going to interject again the Rule 65, sir?
Yes, precisely, because andun sa Rule 65, very clear po ito, sinasabi na pag walang substantial recovery si Mr. Marcos as regards his 3 pilot provinces, its only consequence for the only consequence for this is actually the dismissal of this case. So wala kaming kaduda-duda na the moment ma-release yung Kagiwa report that the protest case of Mr. Marcos will be dismissed.
But if that is so, Attorney, just for the sake of discussing this, kung ganun din po naman ang kanilang magiging linya, why not then just finish it off? Dahil nga, kung wala naman daw allegedly substantial recovery, di dapat tapos na po itong protestang ito. Why give both parties 20 days to comment?
Because I think pinapakita ng Korte Suprema na material pala yung ang question whether may substantial recovery si Mr. Marcos o wala. So this is very important ngayon because lalabas yan ngayon. Both parties will comment on whether or not substantial pa ang recovery. Is it enough pa? Ano ba yung bilang? So yun, we take this development as a very good sign.
Because you were saying a while ago, hindi ho ba, Attorney, that there is a previous decision by the Supreme Court on this Rule 65, sir?
Wala pa po. This will be the first time na
Yes.
desisyonan ng Korte Suprema, but this is not new because sa COMELEC, sa SET, sa HRET, this is something na paulit-ulit po na ginagawa since 2010 elections.
Yeah.
So this is something which is not new at all.
Oo, yun na nga po, yung sinasabi nyo kanina, that there were 2 instances, sir, regarding this Rule 65.
Sa Supreme Court po, this will be the first time that sa COMELEC, sa
Yes.
HRET, and sa SET po, ang application ng pilot precincts or pilot
Provinces.
provinces is something na very familiar na po yung lahat.
Aha. But again, as you were mentioning, sir, dahil this is a first naman po sa Korte Suprema, it doesn't necessarily mean that just because something in the past, for example, sir, sa COMELEC, dinesisyonan, this is a first naman po sa Supreme Court. So,
No, but we have to consider na merong Supreme Court justices na nakaupo po sa HRET at saka sa SET.
Yeah.
So, in fact, yung mga justices doon are of course, presume na familiar sila with the process doon sa pilot po at saka sa substantial recovery na pinag-uusapan natin.
could you name the justices, sir, that were involved sa HRET saka sa Senate Electoral Tribunal, sir?
Yes, because ang part ng Senate Electoral Tribunal at saka HRET are actually Supreme Court justices po na pinapaupo doon. So yun po yung composition niya. So mixed Supreme Court justices po at saka members ng respective houses po.
Both, at the House and at the Senate. So, you are happy with this decision? So far, so good, sir?
Sir, very good po. This would mean lang po sa amin na with the official numbers na po, now we can definitely establish and show the general public that it is indeed Vice President Leni Robredo who won as Vice President at hindi po nadaya si Mr. Marcos. Siya po ay nireject ng taong bayan. Ito po yung magiging klaro with the Kagiwa report.
How difficult or how has this wait been, sir? Itong tagal po ng paghihintay. Hindi lamang po ng kampo ni Vice President Leni Robredo, but of course, also former Senator Bongbong Marcos. I ask that, sir, because they are going on break, the Supreme Court, and ang balik pa ata po ay November.
Yes,
So,
that is
tsaka
correct.
lang po nila matitingnan yung inyong mga comments that they're giving you 20 days to comment on this Kagiwa report, sir.
Yes. Again, we take this as a good sign because ibig sabihin po, siniseryoso ng Korte Suprema yung usaping substantial recovery, dapat ba ituloy o i-dismiss yung kaso. Because po kung ang especially po, di ba, yung rumors around is rejected na daw po yung ang Kagiwa report. But now we are happy to actually know that actually they are still considering it, and now the question of substantial recovery and Rule 65 are back on the table po.
Meron ho kayong inaasahan kaya, attorney, maybe another ruling of the Supreme Court apart from giving both parties the Kagiwa report? Because I just want to go more siguro forward no dito dahil pinag-uusapan pa rin possibly sir yung tinatawag na nullification of results in the ARMM provinces.
Yes.
Posible ho kayang mapag-usapan to by the Supreme Court, or could they have tackled this, you think, sir?
Well, before kasi dapat pag-usapan yung annulment of results doon sa Basilan, Lanao, Sur, and Maguindanao, the question that should be resolved first is whether tutuloy ba dapat yung protesta o hindi. Because if the court would say na kailangan ng substantial recovery doon sa tatlong pilot provinces, this would mean po na madidismiss yung kaso, tapos na po yun, hindi na po kailangan pag-usapan yung annulment of results sa tatlong probinsya sa Mindanao. However po, if the court will say na hindi kailangan ng substantial recovery, that's the only time na magpo-proceed po yun. So ngayon po, balik tayo dun sa question, dapat patumuloy yung kaso or dapat dismiss ng Korte Suprema. So balik tayo again sa question na merong substantial recovery or wala.
Yeah. Well, all right. So, Attorney Emil Maranyon, sir, we'd like to thank you for taking our call and giving us your reaction to this. Na ano ho ba, have you spoken to the Vice President or anyone close to her with regards to her reaction on this, sir?
Not yet po.
Okay.
And we are still trying to communicate to her and explain to her ano yung consequences ng desisyon ng Korte Suprema.
All right. Maraming salamat muli, Attorney Emil Maranyon, Legal Counsel, Vice President Leni Robredo. We're also trying to get the side of Senator Bongbong Marcos, but they refuse to comment at this time. Live pictures there from the Supreme Court. That is the SC spokesperson, Attorney Brian Keith Hosaka. Let's listen in.
Sige. Ready? Right. Okay na. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the media. I have two announcements to make. The first is with respect to the case of Ferdinand Bongbong R. Marcos Jr. versus Maria Leonor Leni Daang Matuwid G. Robredo. In this case, PET case number 005, the tribunal has decided to release to the parties the report on the revision and appreciation of ballots in the 3 pilot provinces, and for them to comment thereon. The tribunal likewise required the parties to submit a memoranda on the various issues relating to the jurisdiction and other matters on the third cause of action of the case, which is the annulment of election results for Vice President in the provinces of Lanao del Sur, Basilan, and Maguindanao within a period of 20 days from receipt of the notice. Justices Antonio Carpio and Alfredo Benjamin Kagiwa dissented. The second case is with respect to AM number 16-03-10-SC in the news report of Mr. Jomar Canlas in Manila Times issue March 8, 2016. The court decided to unanimously severely reprimand and issue a stern warning to Mr. Jomar Canlas for a news report which he wrote in relation to the court's decision on the citizenship of Senator Grace Poe. These are the two announcements I was going to make. Are there any questions?
The administrative case on Mr. Canlas related to the decision of the Supreme Court to defer releasing its ruling.
Pardon me?
Is the decision to hold Mr. Canlas liable related to this decision to release the report?
No, there's no connection to that.
So what now, sir, is the status of the whole protest? Will it still proceed, sir?
Well, the action of the court is for them to provide copies to the parties and for the parties to comment on the results of the revision and appreciation of ballots. So, as for the decision, there's none yet.
So what was the result in the revision of the ballot?
I have not seen that. We can probably wait until the results are given to the
The
parties.
revision and the recount are already given at 3 final provinces, right, sir?
Yes, that's right. Those are the only provinces involved.
The rule is that pagka natapos na ang revision, recounting sa pilot area, ay doon ba tayo kakapusin na
Well,
wala pong ganun ruling.
walang ganun. There's no ruling on that yet. The action of the tribunal was to provide copies to the parties and for them to make their comment or to submit their comment.
So if the court can give copies to the parties, why can it not give the media in the spirit of transparency?
Well, that's the action of the court, and probably you can ask copies from the parties if that's.
What would you have the basis for Justice Carpio? Did you say Justice Carpio?
No, I was not. I was not told the basis of their dissent.
There's another leaked report about the decision.
Pardon me.
There's again another leaked report about the PPP case.
No, the report is with respect to the revision and results of the recount on the 3 pilot provinces.
There's another article by Mr. Canlas about the decision.
No, as I said earlier,
What's the reaction report?
there was no reaction by the court on that. What I mentioned earlier was the report of report of Mr. Canlas with respect to the court's decision on the citizenship of Senator Grace Poe in 2016.
So, you turned the ruling against Mr. Canlas?
Yes, hold on.
So you were going to make a report on the same report submitted by Justice Kadiwa in September?
We're talking here is the results, the report and the results on the revision and recount of the 3 provinces.
Not the Kadiwa report.
I believe they limited it only to the results of the revision and recount of the 3 pilot provinces.
Which is included in that. Paano po sila nagka-report?
I wouldn't know. I haven't seen the report of Justice Kagiwa.
So just to be clear, what was voted upon by the justices? Is it the release or
The resolution, the resolution to release the results of the revision and recount on the 3 pilot provinces, and for the court to require the parties to submit a memoranda on the 3rd cause of action. I answered that earlier, Mike. I wasn't told by Justices Carpio and Justice. Yes, I was told they dissented on this. I believe Justice Joey Reyes is not around. Yes.
for how many days to comment?
20 upon receipt of the notice.
Sir, would you know if the basis of the dissent of Justice Kadiwa and Justice Carpio are the same or different?
No, I wasn't told. I haven't seen their dissenting opinions on that.
Sir, will the court stick to Rule 65, or is there a possibility of changing the rules in the middle of the game?
I cannot speculate on that, sir. In fact, the reason why the court's initial resolution is for the parties to comment on the results, and probably from there we can wait for the resolution of the court on this matter.
Would it be accurate to say that the AMPLAC granted Robredo's motion to release the report? Kasi diba yun yung motion niya like last week?
Yeah.
No, I cannot say that.
They were not acting on the motion of the Vice President.
No, or else I should have been told by them that they were acting on that motion.
So they were acting on their own decision to release it without anyone prompting them? Or without considering?
I wouldn't know about that, but that is the action of the court.
You wouldn't discount the possibility that they consider that?
Or again, we're going on to speculation. The fact is, there is a resolution ordering the release of the results of the recount and revision of ballots to the parties.
Why comes your status for parties?
Yes, because there's no resolution yet on cause of action number 2 and 3, right? So we're just gonna wait first on the comments to be submitted by the parties, as well as on the memoranda being required to be submitted by the parties on the third cause of action.
20 days. 20 days.
Yes, 20 days from official receipt of the notice. All right? No more questions? Thank you.
A very brief presentation, the spokesperson, a brief press conference there by the spokesperson of the Supreme Court, Attorney Hosaka, Brian Keith Hosaka, basically saying that the decision of the Supreme Court, the magistrates of the Supreme Court sitting as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal in the Marcos case, Vice President case versus Vice President Robredo, is that they ordered the release to the parties, the result of the revision and appreciation on the recount of the 3 pilot provinces. These pilot provinces are, again, Negros Oriental, Camarines Sur, and Iloilo. Also, that both camps, upon receipt of the result of the revision of the recount, are given 20 days to comment on this. But there's another course of action that was mentioned by Attorney Hosaka. He said that also both parties are asked to comment on various issues on other matters, such as the third course of action, which is the annulment of the election result in 3 provinces of Lanao del Sur, Basilan, and Maguindanao. Let's talk to Anjo, our justice correspondent, Anjo Alimario. Anjo.
Hi, Pinky.
Anjo,
Yep.
so we were discussing about a while ago that both parties must now be given the Cagio report on the recount and reappreciation of the votes in the 3 pilot provinces. We talked about that a while ago, Anjo. But there is a second course of action, a comment or a memoranda on the annulment of election results in Lanao del Sur, Maguindanao, and Basilan.
That's right, Pinky. They're given 20 days from the receipt of this Supreme Court's resolution. But, of course, it's also important to note that Attorney Brian Hosaka did announce that there are 2 dissents from Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio and Justice Alfredo Benjamin Caguioa as to this resolution. And according to our source, Carpio dissented because he dissented because the protest should have been dismissed since former Senator Bongbong Marcos failed to make substantial recovery from the 3 pilot provinces. Again, reiterating that Rule 65 of the PET rules, Pinky. But as to Justice Alfredo Benjamin Caguioa, we have no information yet as to why he dissented, probably because, again, he is also pushing for the dismissal of Marcos's protest against citing that Rule 65 of the PET rules, Pinky.
Right. So 2 justices dissented again, Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio and Associate Justice Caguioa on this decision by the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. But there was one justice, Anjo, that was not present. I think Justice, was it Justice Reyes?
That's right, Pinky. There were only 13 justices who participated during the ANPAC session earlier. Again, this is the last ANPAC session of Carpio and CJ Bersamin, Pinky.
All right, Anjo, thank you so much for that. And we'll get more updates from you, maybe a little later on again. Maraming salamat to our Justice Correspondent, Anjo Alimario. Let's now speak to former COMELEC Commissioner Gregorio Larrazabal. Sir, good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, Pinky.
Sir, help us understand the situation.
Okay.
I did see a tweet of yours. You said that the right thing to do now is to make people understand what is a revision committee report in an electoral protest case, to objectively discuss and explain it without bias. So we're talking about revision, reappreciation, recount. Tell us more about this. What can you help us understand that?
Okay. In every electoral protest case, during the appreciation of the ballots, there is a revision committee that is created. some cases it's 1, sometimes it's 50, depends on the tribunal. Now, the revision committee is formed by 3 people. The chairman is a member of, is a designate of the tribunal, and a revisor of the protestee and a revisor of the protestant. The revision committee report is a summary of the observations of the particular committee for that particular ballot box. Meaning to say, for example, tayo Pinky, ikaw yung revisor ng protestee, ako yung revisor ng protestant. We have to comment on what we saw in the ballots, etc. If we have a claim.
Yeah, so it's fair. Both parties involved are there and monitoring it. Okay.
No. The attorneys are not there. These are technical people. The attorneys don't involve themselves in the revision of the ballots because that's very technical. It's not legal anymore.
Okay.
And what happens is that when the report is a summary of
Observation.
of what happened of the ballot box. Now, for example, one cluster precinct, it tells how many ballots were objected to by the protestant, how many ballots were objected to by the protestee, and how many ballots were claimed, and other observations as to the integrity of the ballot box, and other comments that may be made by representatives of the protestant or protestee. And that will be evaluated by the FEP now. So basically, it's a summary, it's a report. It's a report of whatever happened for each and every cluster precinct that is contained in the ballot box.
Okay. So, would you say, Commissioner, that pagka ganito po ang lumabas at inaral na po yan ng Presidential Electoral Tribunal, and they, you have the Caguio report, we're still waiting for the outcome, sir, that will basically give some sort of closure, at least with the 3 pilot provinces, sir?
Yeah, it will. And the good thing about it is it's given to both parties for them to comment. So I assume it's going to be made, it can be made public, no?
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is people will now understand what are the nuances of, or what are the objections of the protestee, or what are the objections of the protestant, and what are the possible manifestations that the councils may submit to the PEP. What's important is it makes it more transparent. It makes the process more transparent, and hopefully more people understand whatever ruling they'll come up with, which will be the basis of the basis of which is the report, the revision report.
So to be fair, we should really wait for now for this Caguio report on the reappreciation, recount, revision of the 3 pilot provinces. And dun po natin talaga makikita sino lumamang between the 2.
Yes, and you have a caveat, may warning tayo, because you don't base your analysis and your conclusion only on the number of the objected ballots. You don't. You base it on the ground for the objection of the ballot. Meaning to say, anyone can just object to any ballot. For example, there's a vote for a Protestant, the protestee can object to it. You have to see what's the basis of the objection. Now, and there are some people, what they do is they just object and object and object and object, even without basis.
Yeah.
But what's important is that you have to filter out all the objections, see what is a valid objection and what's not a valid objection, then rule on it.
Got
What
it.
will happen now?
Yeah.
What will happen now is that the councils or either both parties can comment on the possible ruling. So that will help. That will help the PEP. For me,
Alright.
that's a good move.
So this you are happy with the result of the Presidential Electoral Tribunal ordering, giving copies to both camps and giving them 20 days to comment on this?
It's a good decision. Means say, whatever comes after, at least it gives the parties and the public the ability to know what's happening, what's the basis of whatever decision the PEP will come up with.
All right. Former Commissioner of the COMELEC, Gregorio Larrazabal. Sir, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, we have the lawyer, former Senator Bongbong Marcos, speaking to the media.
Usapan ho dito yung termino ng Vice President, 6 na taon lang. At kalahati na po tayo, higit pa. At na-defer na naman. And again, ako ho'y natanong din kanina, ang mindset ho natin, nung final natin election protest si Senator Bongbong Marcos, ay ipapanalo po natin ang election protest na ito. And any day of delay, of course, works to our disadvantage. Dahil lagpas na po tayo sa 3 taon eh. 3 probinsya pa lamang ho pinag-uusapan dito. At hindi pa rin tinutuloy doon sa aming second cause of action, again, which is the annulment of the election results in the provinces of Lanao del Sur, Basilan at Maguindanao.
Sir, posible kayang next administration na hindi pa rin ito na pagdedesisyonan?
Well, hindi naman si next administration ang alin. Because pababa na ho si Chief Justice Bersamin. So,
No, I mean, this Duterte administration, kasi you're saying that every delay robs him of his chance to sit. Kumbaga, parang kung siya man ang nanalo, napapaigsi yung termino na mauupuan niya.
Tama yun, Tina. In fact, kaya nga ang gusto namin, simultaneous o sabayang pagdinig na doon sa ating first cause of action at itong aming second cause of action. Nang sa ganun, siguro naman, halfway na po tayo dito sa terminong pinag-uusapan, reasonable lang hingin natin pareho yan na sabay ng pagdinig dito sa aming first cause of action and second cause of action.
Sir, Mr. Marcos is inside in one of your rooms here. What's his mood?
Oh, well, nagugulat at the same time. Yun nga, kagaya na sinabi ko, naiinip na rin ho yung tao sapagkat ang tagal na ho nito. At ang inaantay lang naman natin dito hindi pa yung final decision eh. Hindi ba? Preliminary decision lamang din ho. Essentially, the finding of the probable cause and hopefully, a decision also na ipagpatuloy na rin natin yung aming second cause of action. Kasabay nitong first cause of action.
May pinaparating po ba si Mr. Marcos na mensahe sa supporters niya, especially those who went to the Supreme Court today, sir?
Patuloy po kayong manalig. Nagpapasalamat po si Senador Bongbong Marcos sa inyong kahit mainit. Nagtsatsaga po kayo dyan sa labas ng Korte Suprema at patuloy po kayong manalig. Ipapanalo po natin ang election protest na ito and contrary doon sa mga pronouncement ng ating katunggali, 3 taon na dismiss daw po ang protesta. Tuloy pa ho ang ating election protest at tuloy pa ho ang ating pakikipaglaban.
Sir, for the record lang, why is Mr. Marcos not coming out to give a statement?
Because alam naman ho ninyo si Senator Marcos, hindi ito yung tipong epal na ang pagkatao niya bilang isang public servant at politiko. He will only talk or he will only speak if there is a need and if there is any basis to comment on something.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks na.
That's Attorney Vic Rodriguez speaking to the media. Apparently, from my understanding, the former senator is also there and the media asking why the former Senator Bongbong Marcos not coming out to speak to the media. Sabi niya, hindi naman daw EPA lang dating senador and he will only speak if there is a need to do so. The lawyer, Attorney Vic Rodriguez, was saying really their mindset is to win at magpapatuloy pa rin daw po. Of course, ang election protest, although he did admit that the problem is that any delay becomes very disadvantageous to the camp of former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Because apart from the 3 pilot provinces, they wanted the next course of action to already be taken into account, which is the annulment of the election results in 3 provinces, that is Lanao del Sur, Maguindanao, and Basilan. He did say, Attorney Vic Rodriguez say that naiinip na rin daw si former Senator Bongbong Marcos. His supporters are still outside, well, around the vicinity of the Supreme Court, and through his attorney, the former senator wanted to thank his supporters for, well, continuing their support for him and being there outside the Supreme Court. Let's listen again to the briefing of Supreme Court spokesperson Brian Keith Hosaka on the decision of the justices of the Presidential Electoral Tribunal.
Walang ganun. There's no ruling on that yet. The action of the tribunal was to provide copies to the parties and for them to make their comment or to submit their comment.
Sir, if the court can give copies to the parties, why can it not give the media in the spirit of transparency?
Well, that's the action of the court. And probably you can ask copies from the parties. That's
Sir, would you know the basis for Justice Carpio? Did you say Justice Carpio?
no, I was not told the basis of their
There's another leaked report about the decision.
pardon me.
There's again another leaked report about the PPP case.
No, the report is with respect to the division and results of the recount on the 3 pilot
There's
provinces.
another article by Mr. Canlas about the decision of the court.
No, as I said
What is
earlier,
the court's reaction to that?
there was no reaction by the court on that. What I mentioned earlier was the report of report of Mr. Canlas with respect to the citizens to the court's decision on the citizenship of Senator Baseball in 2016.
Sir, turn the ruling against Mr. Canlas.
Yes.
So your revision to make a report was the same as the report submitted by Justice Kagiwa in September?
We're talking here is the results, the report and the results on the revision and recount of the 3 provinces.
Not the Kagiwa report.
I believe they limited it only to the results of the revision and recount of the 3 pilot provinces.
Which is included in the paano po sila nagkaroon ng report?
I wouldn't know. I haven't seen the report of Justice Kagiwa.
Sir, just to be clear, what was voted upon by the justices? Is it the release or
The resolution, the resolution to release the results of the revision and recount on the 3 private provinces, and for the court to require the parties to submit a memoranda on the 3rd cause of action.
Sir, the basis for the dissent of Justices Carpio.
I answered that earlier. I wasn't told by Justices Carpio and
But they were
Justice.
dissenting on this ruling. Allowing the
Yes, I was told they dissented on this.
Sir, are the 14 justices
I believe Justice Joey Reyes is not around.
Sir, only him.
Yes.
Sir, how many days to comment?
20 upon receipt of the notice.
Sir, would you know if the basis of the dissent of Justice Kagiwa and Justice Carpio are the same or different?
No, I wasn't told. I haven't seen their dissenting opinions.
Sir, will the court stick to Rule 65, or is there a possibility of changing the rules in the middle of the game?
I cannot speculate on that, sir. In fact, the reason why the court's initial resolution is for the parties to comment on the results, and probably from there we can wait for the resolution of the court on this
Sir,
matter.
would it be accurate to say that the ALBAC granted Robredo's motion to release the report? Kasi the way yung motion niya like last year.
No, I cannot say that.
So they were not acting on the motion of the Vice President?
No, or else I should have been told by them that they were acting on that motion.
So they were acting on their own decision to release it without anyone coming there? Or without considering...
I wouldn't know about that, but that is the action of the
You
party.
wouldn't discount the possibility that they considered that?
Again, we're going on to speculation. The fact is, there is a resolution ordering the release of the results of the recount and revision of ballots of the parties.
So right now, sir, status quo tayo, sir?
Yes, because there's no resolution yet on cause of action number 2 and 3, right? So we're just gonna wait first on the comments to be submitted by the parties, as well as on the memoranda being required to be submitted by the parties on the 3rd cause of action. Yes, 20 days from official receipt of the notice. All right? More questions? Thank you.
All right, that was the press conference of Attorney Brian Keith Osaka, the spokesperson of the Supreme Court. We were able to listen a while ago to the lawyer of former Senator Bongbong Marcos, Attorney Vic Rodriguez, and we're also anticipating a possible media briefing from the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo. So we're staying tuned, and we will bring that to you live as soon as that begins. In the meantime, we'll be taking a quick break. We'll be right back. Breaking news here on CNN Philippines, the decision of the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, again for those who might have just joined us right now, is that they decided to release to the parties the result of the revision results and the revision, recount and appreciation of the 3 pilot provinces, and to both parties, the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo and the camp of former Senator Bongbong Marcos, they are given 20 days to comment on this. The 3 pilot provinces are Negros Oriental, Camarines Sur, and Iloilo Province. Just to clarify this, what is going to be released to the parties is with respect to the results of the revision and recount of ballots on the pilot provinces. It is not the report of Justice Kagiwa. Another course of action mentioned by Attorney Hosaka a while ago is that both parties are also asked to submit their memoranda on the 3rd course of action, which is the annulment of election results in Lanao del Sur, Basilan, and Maguindanao. The vote was 11-2. There were 2 dissenters. That's Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio and Associate Justice Kagiwa. The other justice, Justice Reyes, was not present today. Attorney Hosaka was asked about the dissenting opinion of Carpio and Kagiwa, to which he could not give any details on this because he had no knowledge of the dissent of both justices. The camp of Vice President Leni Robredo happy with the result of the decision by the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. Her lawyer, Attorney Maranion, telling us earlier that this is something that they had asked the Supreme Court to give them and furnish them a copy of the recount and of the 3 pilot provinces, to which they will be given copies as soon as possible. The camp, though, of former Senator Bongbong Marcos, not quite happy, as they were saying that any delay to this electoral protest is definitely disadvantageous to the camp of the former senator. Attorney Vic Rodriguez, his lawyer, spoke to the media a while ago. Let's listen again to what he said. All right, we'll air that a little later as soon as that becomes available. Basically, Attorney Vic Rodriguez still saying that their mindset is still to win. As he mentioned a while ago, any delay is disadvantageous to the camp of the former senator because there's still a next course of action that they want the PET to look into, which is the annulment of election results in Lanao del Sur, Maguindanao, and Basilan. When the attorney was asked on kamusta ba si Senator Bongbong Marcos, Attorney Vic Rodriguez saying, well, naiinip dahil nga it becomes disadvantageous to them because it's already 3 years into the term of the vice presidency. Of course, he's saying that the protest will continue and that they are still hoping to win this protest. We are still waiting for a press conference on the side of Vice President, on the camp rather, of Vice President Leni Robredo, and we will bring that to you live as soon as it happens. All right, we will be taking a short break. We'll be right back. Earlier, the lawyer of former Senator Bongbong Marcos, Vic Rodriguez, spoke to the media about the High Court's decision. Let's listen.
Yung tao ay pagod na rin sapagkat ito yung unang lumabas noong September 10 at sinasabing di umano'y dismiss daw yung kaso, subalit na-defer and we were anticipating na lalabas na today, subalit na-defer na naman. For whatever reason, hindi ho natin malalaman dahil nga ho, en bank yung naging session kanina.
Sir, ano pong implications nitong pagka-defer ulit doon sa case?
We really do not fully understand yet yung kautosang inilabas sapagkat ang nangyari, ilalabas muna yung report bago magkomento yung mga partido. Usually, ipagko-comment muna yung mga partido bago gawin yung hakbang na nabibinbin sa korte. But nonetheless, as I have said, we will abide by the ruling of the court. Titingnan ho muna natin ano linalaman ng eksaktong kautusan, ano linalaman ng revision report, at saka ho tayo magkokomento.
Meanwhile, ano pong plano ni Mr. Marcos?
We'll have to wait for the receipt of the order, and then we will have to, as always, go line by line doon sa inilabas na order ng Korte Suprema, at titingnan ho natin kung ano yung pwede nating ikomento o sagutin doon sa memoranda.
Sir, nasabi niyo kanina na nalulungkot kayo dahil na-defer na naman. What exactly is
Because we have been waiting, not just since September 10. We have been waiting for the past 3 years now. And ang pinag-uusapan ho dito, yung termino ng Vice President, 6 na taon lang. At kalahati na po tayo, higit pa. At na-defer na naman. And again, ako ho'y natanong din kanina, ang mindset ho natin, nung final natin election protest si Senador Bongbong Marcos, ay ipapanalo po natin ang election protest na ito. And any day of delay, of course, works to our disadvantage. Dahil nagpasa po tayo sa 3 taon eh. 3 probinsya pa lamang ho pinag-uusapan dito. At hindi pa rin tinutuloy doon sa aming second cause of action, again, which is the annulment of the election results in the provinces of Lanao del Sur, Basilan at Maguindanao.
Sir, posible kayang next administration na hindi pa rin ito napagdedesisyonan?
Well, hindi naman si next administration ang alin. Because pababa na ho si Chief Justice Bersamin. So,
no, I mean, this Duterte administration, kasi you're saying that every delay robs him of his chance to sit. Kumbaga, parang kung siya man ang nanalo, napapaigsi yung termino na mauupuan niya.
Tama yun, Tina. In fact, kaya nga ang gusto namin, simultaneous o sabayang pagdinig na doon sa ating first cause of action at itong aming second cause of action. Nang sa ganun, siguro naman, halfway na po tayo dito sa terminong pinag-uusapan, reasonable lang hingin natin pareho yan na sabay ng pagdinig dito sa aming first cause of action and second cause of action.
Sir, Mr. Marcos is inside in one of your rooms here. What's his mood?
Oh, well, nagugulat at the same time. Yun nga, kagaya na sinabi ko, naiinip na rin ho yung tao sapagkat ang tagal na ho nito. At ang inaantay lang naman natin dito, hindi pa yung final decision eh. Hindi ba? Preliminary decision lamang din ho. Essentially, the finding of the probable cause and hopefully, a decision also na ipagpatuloy na rin natin yung aming second cause of action. Kasabay nitong first cause of action.
May pinaparating po ba si Mr. Marcos na mensahe sa supporters niya, especially those who went to the Supreme Court today, sir?
Patuloy po kayong manalig. Nagpapasalamat po si Senador Bongbong Marcos sa inyong kahit mainit. Nagtsatsaga po kayo dyan sa labas ng Korte Suprema. At patuloy po kayong manalig. Ipapanalo po natin ang election protest na ito. And contrary doon sa mga pronouncement ng ating katunggali, 3 taon na dismiss daw po ang protesta. Tuloy pa ho ang ating election protest at tuloy po ang ating pakikipaglaban.
Sir, for the record lang, why is Mr. Marcos not coming out to give a statement?
Because alam naman ho ninyo si Senator Marcos, hindi ito yung tipong epal na ang pagkatao niya bilang isang public servant at politiko. He will only talk or he will only speak if there is a need and if there is any basis to comment on something.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Tensya na, kagaya nyo yung trading kami. Thank you. I'll see you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bongbong Marcos, Attorney Vic Rodriguez speaking to the media over there. And as you can see on your screen, we are awaiting the press conference from the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo, and as soon as that happens, we will bring that to you live. The fight between Vice President Leni Robredo and Bongbong Marcos in the 2016 vice presidential race was the most anticipated as the two were statistically tied in the survey prior to the polls. After the May elections, Robredo eventually emerged as winner against Marcos with only a margin of 263,473 votes. A month after, Marcos filed an electoral protest before the Supreme Court, sitting as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal on the basis of a supposed massive cheating in the polls. He contested results in 27 cities and provinces and sought the nullification of votes in Basilan, Maguindanao, and Lanao del Sur, where the election fraud allegedly happened. When the tribunal found Marcos's protest sufficient in form and substance, Robredo filed her response and a counter-protest asking the Supreme Court to junk the case. She explained that the supposed election irregularity in the hash code used in the automated polls did not affect election results. In 2017, the tribunal ordered Marcos to pay a total of 96 million pesos and Robredo almost 23 million pesos in 2 tranches to proceed with the recount of votes. On October 2017, the Commission on Elections began to decrypt and print the ballot images for Marcos's 3 pilot provinces of Camarines Sur, Iloilo, and Negros Oriental. In February of the following year, the tribunal set the final start of the ballot recount in March. It concluded the recount of ballots in September of this year. Keep it here on CNN Philippines to get the stories as they happen. I'm Pinky Webb. Good afternoon.
For this long, for this important a decision. But nonetheless, that was what has happened in the last 3 years. What happened today is the case goes on and we will go from strength to strength.
Sir, do you
That's
have
it.
any message to your supporters?
Oh my God, I cannot thank them enough. Kaya't pagka nakikita ko sila, lagi ako nagpapasalamat at hindi siguro umabot ang lakas ng loob namin sa ng gantong katagal kung wala sila diyan. Kaya thank you very much for your support at asahan ninyo na ito ang ipinaglaban ninyo at ipinaglalaban natin, ipapagpatuloy natin at binigyan tayo ng pagkakataon ng PET na ipagpatuloy ang laban natin.
Sir, pero hindi ba kayo frustrated dahil
Kung ako lang, nung 2 days after nag-file ako ng protest, tapos na Siyempre, and every additional day is a little bit more frustrating. But again, we abide by the system.
So do you feel you're being robbed of your term? Parang ganun ba?
Yes, definitely. By conducting the cheating in the election, they robbed the proper vice president who won the election, myself, from the 3 years of service. So, yes, I do.
May message po kayo sa kabilang camp kay VP Leni Robredo?
I talk to them through my lawyers, not to the press. Okay? Sige guys, that's it. Thank you.
Sir, where are you off to next?
I am going to go and consult na naman with the lawyers. What do we do next, etc., etc.
5-2.
But
Hindi ko na alam yung personal.
Former Senator Bongbong Marcos deciding to speak to the media. You know, earlier, Attorney Vic Rodriguez, his lawyer, was saying hindi na sana lalabas si former Senator Marcos at hindi na sana kakausapin yung media. But then again, I guess he must have obviously changed his mind and gave a brief statement to the members of the media. Definitely, he is frustrated, he says, because every additional day is a delay for him. He actually even said that the proper vice president, which is him, has been robbed of 3 years from serving the public. But also, he had made mention of a possible, possibly looking into the system of protests or electoral protests, because it's such an important decision, he says, that seems to be taking too long. But he assures that the case will go on, he says, with strength, at asahan daw ang laban na magtutuloy. And when asked by media what he'd like to say to his supporters, many thanks, malaking pasasalamat sa lahat ng mga kanyang supporters who have been staying outside the Supreme Court waiting for this decision by the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. You know, going back to that, a decision was possibly expected October 1, and then that was moved to October 8, and then today to October 15, and still really, a decision, again, was made today, but the decision was to release to both parties the results of the revision and appreciation on the recount of the 3 pilot provinces, namely Negros Oriental, Cam Sur, Camarines Sur, and Iloilo, and another order from the Presidential Electoral Tribunal for both parties to submit a memoranda on the other course of action of former Senator Bongbong Marcos, which is the annulment of election results in Llano del Sur, Basilan, and Maguindanao. Again, 2 justices dissented in the resolution of the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. They are Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio and Associate Justice Benjamin Caguiwa. The vote was 11-2 with Justice Reyes not present. Right now, there are 14 justices of the Supreme Court. Both parties are asked to comment and give their remarks or comments after 20 days. We're still waiting for the media briefing of Vice President Leni Robredo's camp. That should happen anytime soon, and we'll bring that to you live as it happens. Keep it here on CNN Philippines to get the stories as they happen. I'm Pinky Webb. Good afternoon.
For a few questions.
Magandang hapon. Una sa lahat, mabuting balita na nag-order na yung Presidential Electoral Tribunal na isa-publiko na yung PET committee report. Yun naman yung hinihingi natin last week pa para malaman ng publiko kung ano talaga yung nag-transpire doon sa recount, ano talaga yung botong lumabas, at sino talaga yung nagsasabi ng katotohanan. Dahil napakaraming balita noong mga nakaraang linggo, na marami dito sa mga balita hindi totoo. Merong mga reports sa Manila Times, merong mga lumabas sa social media, merong campaign sa social media na proclaim the real VP. Merong sinabi today na nanalo na si Marcos sa round 1. Last week may sinabi na i-junk ng Supreme Court yung committee report. At napatunayan na lahat na ito hindi totoo. So yung pag-order ng Supreme Court today, na isa publiko na yung report, napakagandang balita nito. Kasi una, malalaman ng publiko kung ano talaga yung tunay na nangyari during the recount. Yun yung umpisa. Yung pangalawa, despite that, nananatili kami sa aming paniniwala na walang ibang acceptable na desisyon kundi i-dismiss yung protest in accordance with Rule 65 ng PET and in accordance with the results of the recount. Yun naman yung nakasaad sa sariling regulations ng PET at yun yung nakasaad sa batas. Makikita pag nilabas na yung report kung ano yung lumabas sa recount at makikita na walang substantial recovery si Marcos. Pero gayon pa man, kami ay susunod, parati naman kaming sumusunod, parati namin nire-respeto yung Supreme Court, parati kaming sumusunod sa order, yung order na mag-file ng memorandum, susundin namin within 20 days from receipt. Gusto ko lang gamitin yung pagkakataon na ito magpasalamat. Magpasalamat sa maraming supporters na kusang loob na pumunta. Hindi lang ngayong linggo, pero yung mga nakaraang linggo. Nagpapasalamat kami, hindi lang doon sa mga pumupunta sa Supreme Court linggo-linggo para mag-vigil. Pero yung supporters din sa iba't ibang bahagi ng Pilipinas, sa Naga, sa Cebu, sa Baguio, sa Cagayan de Oro, sa Maguindanao, Lanao del Sur, Negros, at iba pang bahagi ng Pilipinas na nagkanya-kanyang vigil para ipakita yung suporta. Para kasi sa kanila, hindi lang ito suporta sa akin, pero proteksyon sa sarili nilang boto. Proteksyon na hindi nakawin yung kanilang boto. Kaya sa kanila, nagpapasalamat kami. At nagpapasalamat din kami sa lahat na post sa social media na nagpapakita ng suporta. Again, kahit sa social media, hindi lang yung suporta sa akin, pero pag siguro na yung boto nila noong nakaraang eleksyon, hindi manakaw.
Okay. Maka daw muna.
Hi ma'am, medyo wala pong boses today. Earlier we saw some reports from the Supreme Court that Justice Carpio dissented and said, like you said, there's no other reason for the case to go on because there's no substantial recovery. And he said that the ruling today actually supposedly paves the way for a possible ballot revision or vote recount in the ARMM provinces. Meron po din po ba tayong ganong apprehension, ma'am?
Yun naman yung posisyon namin mula sa umpisa, na walang ibang acceptable na desisyon based sa Rule 65 and based sa results ng recount, kundi dismiss yung petisyon. Paalala lang na nagkaroon ng preliminary conference. And during the preliminary conference, in accordance with the rules of the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, si Marcos yung pinapili. Siya yung pinapili ng 3 probinsya which best exemplifies the fraud that he is alleging. Hindi kami yung pumili, siya. At pinili niya Camarines Sur, Iloilo, at Negros Oriental. In accordance with the rules of the PET, ito yung magiging basehan, yung recount dito sa pinili niyang provinces, ito yung magiging basehan kung magpapatuloy yung protest o i-dismiss. And in accordance with the rules, magpapatuloy lang yung protest kung meron siyang substantial recovery. Pag nilabas na nung committee yung kanilang report, makikita nyo na walang substantial recovery. So talagang the only way to go is to dismiss the protest. Ngayon, ang gusto naman ni Marcos, magkaroon na naman ng additional provinces sa ARMM. If I am not mistaken, Lanao del Sur, Maguindanao, and Basilan. Dapat sana yun na yung pinili niya. 'Di ba? Dapat sana yun na yung pinili niya yung umpisa. Bakit hindi niya yun pinili? Bakit pinili niya yung Kamsur, Iloilo, sa Negros Oriental na wala kaming say sa pinili niya? Siya yung nagpili. Ngayong wala siya dong nakuha, gusto niya na namang maghanap sa iba. Yung sa akin lang, alam naman namin na kahit saan siya maghanap, wala pa din siya mahahanap. Pero the mere fact na nagda-drag on ito for so long, nagkakaroon lang siya ng plataforma para magpropaganda ng mga kasinungalingan. Nagkakaroon siya ng propaganda na magsabi na siya yung totoong nahirang na VP. Tapos na yung eleksyon, Prinoclaim tayo ng Kongreso, yung resulta ng galing sa COMELEC, prinoclaim tayo ng Kongreso, panalo tayo. Nagkaroon ng recount, panalo ulit tayo. So ilang panalo pa ang kailangan para maniwala siya na hindi siya yung nanalo?
Ma'am, just a follow-up. How are you feeling today, ma'am? Are you relieved by the decision given all the speculations in the past weeks?
Siguro half relieved. Relieved because isa sa publiko, yung committee report, tingin ko napakahalagang maging transparent lahat para alam ng tao, sino ba sa aming dalawa yung nagsisinungaling? Ano ba talaga yung nangyari during the recount? Yun naman yung hinihingi namin, di ba, na isa publiko. Relieved ako because of that. Pero frustrated na hindi pa din na-dismiss. Kasi ang paniniwala talaga namin, there's no other way but to dismiss this, considering their own rules and considering the results of the recount.
Dineska.
Good afternoon, ma'am. On yung, kasi ang medyo surprising yung suddenly parties are being made to comment on BBM's motion to nullify results in Basilan, Lanao del Sur, and Maguindanao. Ma'am, would you say that by asking the parties to comment on this motion by BBM to nullify the results in these provinces, SC is already defying Rule 65? Because Rule 65 states that there should be a substantial recovery before the protest can proceed.
Ako, I don't know how much I can divulge considering the orders of the Supreme Court. Pero siguro to simplify the issues. As I have said earlier, nagkaroon ng preliminary conference. Kung titingnan niyo yung petition ni Marcos, meron siyang 2 causes of action. Yung una, wala na yon. Yung pangalawa, yun yung naging object ng preliminary conference. Naging object ng preliminary conference na pagdating sa revision, pipili nga siya ng 3. Ewan ko kung may kopya kayo ng aming manifestation yesterday. Pero dun sa manifestation namin yesterday, kinote namin from the stenographic notes of the preliminary conference, ano exactly yung nag-transpire and ano yung statements ng abogado ni Marcos. At makikita doon sa statements ng abogado ni Marcos na ito talagang tatlo, ito na yung pinipili nila, at kung wala silang makuhang substantial recovery out of this, nag-a-agree sila na kailangan na talagang i-dismiss ang case in accordance with Rule 65. So ngayon, yun yung kanilang statements, and if we can give you a copy of our manifestation kasi quoted doon in toto kung ano yung sinabi. Dapat sana i-dismiss na. Yung again, kung ang gusto niya sana nullification ng vote sa ARMM, dapat yun na sana yung track niya from the preliminary conference. Pero ngayon, iba na yung kanya sinasabi. Ang sinasabi niya lang ngayon, parang wala akong substantial recovery dun sa tatlo, pero pwede bang tingnan pa din itong another 3. Na ito, it will go against Rule 65. Kasi sa Rule 65, talagang no more than 3 pilot provinces yung pipiliin.
Thank you.
Adrian.
na rob daw siya ng term at yun nga he was robbed, the proper vice president was robbed daw, siya yun. Ano masasabi niya doon?
Parang nakakatawa naman na siya yung nagsasabi nun. Kasi between the two of us, parang hindi yata ako ang may ugaling mag-rob. Between the two of us, lahat na na-achieve ko, pinagpaguran ko. Wala akong fake diplomas, wala akong anything. Hindi ako naglalabas ng fake news. Parang dapat hindi niya kaya yun sabihin kasi between the two of us, alam ko hindi ako yung robber.
Okay, meron pa?
Okay?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
That was Vice President Leni Robredo there speaking to members of the media, doing a short Q&A and addressing some questions after the Supreme Court ordered the release to the parties of former Senator Bongbong Marcos and Vice President Leni Robredo the report on the revision and appreciation of ballots in the 3 pilot provinces. This is, of course, in connection with the electoral protest filed by former Senator Marcos against Vice President Leni Robredo. Now, the VP is calling the decision to release the report a very good piece of news, as this will finally put to rest all speculations and rumors. Now, Robredo also calls on the Presidential Electoral Tribunal to follow the rules once again, citing Rule 65 and dismiss the election protest, as she insists the report will show former Senator Bongbong Marcos failed to show substantial recovery during the recount of the votes in 3 provinces that she says the senator or the former senator actually chose for himself. So these areas were let me just draw that up. Okay, so those were, one of those was in Camarines Sur, the other one was in Negros. And the 3 pilot provinces, Iloilo, Negros Oriental, and Camarines Sur. So once again, that was Vice President Leni Robredo there holding a press conference saying tapos na ang recount, panalo tayo. But of course, we still do not know what the result is of the report that was released to both parties today. Both parties will have 20 days to issue an answer.
The story is making headlines. The Supreme Court is set to release results of the vote recount in the vice presidential poll protest, but holds off ruling in the case. Good evening, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Welcome to the newsroom. The Supreme Court, acting as Presidential Electoral Tribunal, still failed to vote on the poll protest filed by former vice presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos against Vice President Leni Robredo. In today's on-bank session, the High Court gave more time for both parties to argue their side. Our Justice correspondent Anjo Alimario tells us more.
The Supreme Court, sitting as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, didn't categorically say who won between former Senator Bongbong Marcos and Vice President Leni Robredo. But the tribunal is ordering the release of the results of the vote recount in Marcos's 3 pilot provinces in Camarines Sur, Negros Oriental, and Iloilo. Marcos chose these provinces that would supposedly best exemplify fraud and irregularities raised in his protest. And this is what the side of Vice President Leni Robredo has been asking. Show us the results, because they're confident that Robredo won in the 3 pilot provinces. On the other hand, the tribunal is also asking both parties to comment on Marcos's plea to annul votes in 3 provinces in Mindanao. This is Marcos's 3rd cause of action.
Required the parties to submit a memoranda on the various issues relating to the jurisdiction and other matters on the 3rd cause of action of the case, which is the annulment of election results for Vice President in the provinces of Lanao del Sur, Basilan, and Maguindanao within a period of 20 days from receipt of the notice.
Interestingly, Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio and Associate Justice Alfredo Benjamin Caguiwa disagree with the majority. They want the poll protest to end right now because Marcos failed to show substantial recovery in his pilot provinces. This is also the last en-banc session of Carpio and Chief Justice Lucas Bersamin. Both of them are retiring this month. President Duterte gets to name his 3rd Chief Justice, and by the end of the year, there will be 11 Duterte appointees in the 15-member Supreme Court. Anjo Alimario, CNN Philippines.
It took the tribunal more than 3 years to finish, from the filing of Marcos's poll protest to the recount of 3 pilot provinces. So if they move for the annulment of votes of another 3 provinces, that's expected to take longer. Also, Robredo has her own counter-protest. The issue might even become moot because of the 2020 or 2022 presidential elections. But it's up to the justices if they want to expedite it without violating due process for Marcos and Robredo. Malacanang leaving it to the Supreme Court to decide on the poll protest. Spokesperson Sal Panelo says the palace will accept the Presidential Electoral Tribunal's decision, regardless of the party it favors.
Whatever the decision of the court, we should abide by it.
Leni Robredo claiming victory in the latest Supreme Court move, but she says it's not enough. Her rival, however, is happy the case is not dismissed. Our AC Nichols has more.
She is all smiles and in good spirits. Vice President Leni Robredo faced members of the media shortly after the PET's order came out. She says she is relieved. Finally, the results of the initial recount will become public, and she is confident it will show that she got more votes than former Senator Bongbong Marcos. At the same time, the VP says she is frustrated. She believes the electoral protest should be dismissed by now.
Prinoclaim tayo ng Kongreso, yung resulta ng galing sa COMELEC. Prinoclaim tayo ng Kongreso, panalo tayo. Nagkaroon ng recount, panalo ulit tayo. So ilang panalo pa ang kailangan para maniwala siya na hindi siya yung nanalo?
Meantime, Marcos is glad there was no order to dismiss his case. He remains convinced he was cheated in the 2016 elections.
By conducting the cheating in the election, they robbed the proper vice president who won the election, myself, from the 3 years of service.
The VP is not having any of that. Robredo says she finds it funny that Marcos has the audacity to accuse her of robbing.
Between the two of us, lahat na na-achieve ko, pinagpaguran ko. Wala akong fake diplomas, wala akong anything. Hindi ako naglalabas ng fake news.
The VP's camp has yet to receive a copy of the report. But once they do, she says they will release it to the media. AC Nichols, CNN Philippines.
And that's the newsroom tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Maya Rodriguez. Good evening.